The streets of Manhattan erupted in chaos last night as Jungkook, the youngest member of BTS, made a dazzling appearance outside the Calvin Klein headquarters during New York Fashion Week. Dressed in a perfectly tailored gray suit, Jungkook stepped into the flashing lights and roaring cheers of hundreds of waiting armies, sending fans into uncontrollable hysteria. His sharp visuals, paired with his effortless charisma, turned what should have been a routine exit into one of the most talked-about moments of the fashion season. Videos circulating on social media showed throngs of fans screaming his name as Jungkook briefly waved, his suited look described by Vogue Korea as modern sophistication infused with star power. Hashtags like #JungkookInGray, #CalvinKleinKing, and #NYFWithJK quickly climbed into the global trending lists, with fan edits racking up millions of views within hours. For many, the sight of Jungkook in his gray suit was nothing short of cinematic, like a Hollywood star striding into the night. But while Jungkook's appearance caused mania in New York, attention also turned to BTS's eldest member, Jin, who remained in Korea. Having just returned from his own triumph at Paris Fashion Week with Gucci, Jin chose not to accompany Jungkook on this particular schedule. Yet his presence was still felt. During a late-night Weverse interaction with fans, Jin commented lightly, "Gray suits the youngest well. I saw the photos, he looks like he owns the city." The simple remark immediately went viral, drawing praise for Jin's brotherly pride and support. Fans around the world expressed how meaningful it was to see Jin acknowledging Jungkook's moment from afar, turning the event into a shared victory rather than an individual spotlight. Even when he's in Korea, Jin finds a way to stand by Jungkook. One ARMY tweeted, capturing the sentiment that BTS's bond transcends distance. Fashion journalists were quick to point out the symbolic power of this parallel. With Jin captivating Gucci in Paris and Jungkook stunning Calvin Klein in New York, BTS now occupies two of the biggest fashion capitals in the world at the same time. Their absence from each other's schedules does not signify distance, but rather an expansion of influence, a dual strategy that places BTS members at the forefront of multiple luxury narratives. Jungkook's gray suit moment continues to dominate headlines and Jin's words of support trend globally. One thing is clear. Whether in New York, Paris, or Seoul, BTS members remain connected by an unshakable thread of loyalty and pride. For ARMY, the chaos in New York and the calm in Korea blended into a single story of unity, a reminder that BTS is never truly apart. Even when oceans lie between them, the crowd in New York screamed Jungkook's name, waving banners and holding up their phones to capture every second of his appearance. The contrast in Seoul was striking. Jin, who had only just returned from his whirlwind Paris schedule, stayed behind in Korea, thousands of miles away from the chaos. Yet somehow, his absence spoke as loudly as his presence would have. Fans felt his quiet shadow lingering in every image of Jungkook in that gray suit, as if Jin's pride and affection had traveled across the ocean to stand beside him. The hyungmagne bond between Jin and Jungkook has always been one of subtle gestures rather than loud declarations. During BTS's earliest days, Jin often teased Jungkook like an older brother, but also shielded him from pressures too heavy for the youngest to carry alone. Now, years later, that same relationship played out on a global stage, Jungkook basking in the lights of New York, while Jin, from a distance, offered words that cut straight into the hearts of fans. Gray suits the youngest well. A single sentence, simple yet profound, turned a fashion headline into a moment of brotherhood that transcended borders. Fans online began piecing together the symbolism. Jin, representing elegance and poise in Gucci, and Jungkook, embodying modern rebellion and charm in Calvin Klein, seemed like two sides of the same coin. They didn't need to stand next to each other physically. Their influence spoke in harmony, each amplifying the other. It was as though BTS's eldest and youngest had silently agreed to divide the global stage, not as rivals, but as brothers who understood the power of standing together even when apart. The image of Jungkook adjusting his blazer under New York's neon lights while Jin's words trended across Weverse became a defining scene of the week. Fashion critics began calling it a dual narrative of BTS, while ARMYs described it as a movie written in real life. The chaos outside Calvin Klein and the calm reassurance from Seoul became two halves of a story that only BTS could tell. A story of loyalty, legacy, and love. In the end, Jin didn't need to be in New York to be part of the moment. His support echoed louder than the screams of fans outside the Calvin Klein office. And for Jungkook, walking confidently in his gray suit, It must have meant the world to know that his Hyung was watching, smiling, and quietly cheering him on from halfway across the globe. International media wasted no time in connecting the dots. Just a week earlier, Jin had captivated audiences in Paris with his poised and refined appearance at Gucci's runway show, redefining elegance for a K-pop idol stepping onto one of fashion's most prestigious stages. Now, Jungkook was setting New York ablaze in Calvin Klein's bold aesthetic, offering a stark contrast in style but an equally powerful statement of global influence. For journalists, this was not a coincidence. It was a phenomenon. Vogue US described the moment as a tale of two cities and two icons, pointing out how Jin and Jungkook's separate appearances symbolized BTS's ability to dominate multiple fashion capitals at once. The New York Times fashion desk wrote that BTS has moved beyond music into shaping the fabric of modern fashion, with Jin as the embodiment of timeless luxury and Jungkook as the face of youthful rebellion. In South Korea, the Korea Herald praised their ability to complement each other's image, proving that even as individuals, BTS members remain stronger together. Fans were quick to echo this sentiment, calling Jin and Jungkook the fashion pillars of BTS. Social media was flooded with edits showing Jin in his red Gucci jacket in Paris alongside Jungkook in his gray Calvin Klein suit in New York. The visuals, placed side by side, created a striking narrative. The eldest and youngest of BTS carrying the weight of different worlds, yet united in impact. It was, as one fan put it, proof that BTS is not 7 separate paths, but 7 branches of the same tree, always reaching further into the sky. Even fashion analysts began speculating that HYBE might intentionally be carving out unique fashion lanes for each member, with Jin and Jungkook at the forefront of this global experiment. Their appearances were not treated as isolated stunts, but as part of a larger strategy to embed BTS into the DNA of both European haute couture and American street luxury fashion. If true, this move could mark a historic shift in how entertainment agencies position their artists on the global stage. Yet, beneath all the glitz and strategy, the heart of the story remained the same. Jin's quiet words from Korea and Jungkook's shining moment in New York were intertwined. The chaos outside Calvin Klein's office, the fans screaming Jungkook's name, and the calm pride of Jin watching from afar painted a picture of brotherhood and legacy. Together, they had managed to turn a week of fashion shows into something deeper, an emotional chapter in the continuing saga of BTS's dominance. And as both Paris and New York now echo with their names, one conclusion has become undeniable. Jin and Jungkook are no longer just idols, they are cultural forces, reshaping the stage wherever they stand. Even when they stand worlds apart, as the dust settles from New York and Paris, the question now reverberating across both the fashion and entertainment industries is simple yet thrilling. What comes next? If Jin could redefine elegance in Paris with Gucci, and Jungkook could electrify New York with Calvin Klein, what would happen if the two stood together on the same runway or fronted a global campaign side by side? Fans have already begun calling it the inevitable moment. Social media is filled with fan-made posters imagining a joint appearance, from magazine covers to dual-brand collaborations. One particularly viral edit showed Jin in Gucci's deep crimson alongside Jungkook in Calvin Klein's gray, with the caption, "Hyung and Magne, two ends of a spectrum, one unshakable impact." The post gained millions of likes within hours, demonstrating how powerful the idea of their reunion in fashion could be. Industry insiders are no less captivated by the thought. Reports in both Korean and international outlets suggest that HYBE may already be in discussions to stage a historic moment that would place Jin and Jungkook together at a global Fashion Week event. Whether it would be in Milan, London, or even a return to Paris or New York, such an appearance would not only dominate headlines but could reshape the relationship between K-pop and high fashion forever. A senior editor at Harper's Bazaar remarked, "Putting Jin and Jungkook together would not be a collaboration, it would be a cultural earthquake." Meanwhile, speculation grows about whether this synergy could spill beyond fashion. Could Jin and Jungkook also be preparing a joint music project to parallel their fashion dominance? Fans recall their chemistry on BTS's stages, the way Jin's emotive vocals blend seamlessly with Jungkook's powerful presence.